7 trillion naira at the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offence.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosu.
Welcome to Celebration Television News Desk. I am Belis Quetta and thanks for joining us today. Now the news making the rounds, Generational Impact 2021 with Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman. South Africa expects first vaccine doses next week. Facebook to ban recommendation of civic and political groups to users. Indigenous oil operators keen on expansion amid downturn. And on sports, EPL, Everton denied as Pickford Howler rescues Leicester. Stay with us as the details of that news come after the break. Welcome back. Now the news in details. It's been difficult keeping our promises, says President Muhammadu Buhari. President Muhammadu Buhari, during a meeting with the service chiefs on Tuesday, said his regime had not found it easy keeping the promises it made in 2015. And according to a statement by Adeshina, the president urged the service chiefs to be patriotic, saying the country was in an emergency. And the statement quoted the president as telling the service chiefs that they are in a state of emergency and they should be patriotic, serve the country well, as their loyalty is to the country. And at the end of the meeting, Irabo, in an interview with State House correspondents, said Buhari told them that their expectation of Nigerians were high and they must do everything to meet them. The North Central Governors Forum enjoined the new service chiefs to evolve in new strategies that will adequately address the security challenges that had bedeviled the region and the country as a whole. And the chairman of the forum, Abubakar Sani Bello of Niger State, made the call on Wednesday in a statement while lauding the appointment of new service chiefs, describing it as a noble decision by the president. And on his part, Bonu Concerned Citizen Forum hailed the removal of the former service chiefs as being timely and long overdue. And one of his leaders, Zana Boguma, said the former service chiefs whose appointment were celebrated for being merited in 2015 suddenly became unpopular because of the degeneration in security of the country, particularly in the northeast. And now moving forward, the NIN Communications Ministry gets more digital identification unit. The Ecosystem Coordination Strategic Unit of the Digital Identification for Development Projects in the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation has been handed over to the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. And Permanent Secretary of the Communications Ministry, Festus Daudu, said the new unit will further enable the government to coordinate, check, and curb insecurity through the linkage of national identity numbers to subscriber identification models of individuals across the country. And a statement issued on Wednesday by the Communications Ministry spokesman, Phil Oshodin, stated that the Permanent Secretary welcomed the staff of the Ecosystem Coordination Strategic Unit to the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. And the statement also stated that the Permanent Secretary of Political and Economic Affairs Office of the SGF, Andrew Odejo, handed over the unit to the Communications Ministry in Abuja. And he stated that the project was being assisted by the World Bank, Agence France de Développement, and the European Investment Bank, and Digital Identification for Development project was structured around 4 main components, including to strengthen the system's legal and institutional and regulatory framework. On his part, Adejo said the federal government had to move the National Identity Management Commission to the Communications Ministry in a bid to improve service delivery and reduce insecurity. And now moving forward in another developments, Generational Impact 2021 with Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman. And following the itinerary for the year's outreach by Apostle Johnson Suleiman tagged Generational Impact 2021, the nation of Gambia was the first to witness a cross-border meeting for the year. And meanwhile, it was a huge success, having a 2-day crusade at the QCT Brosubi Turntable, Senegambia Highway, Nawek Junction, Gambia, on the 25th through 26th January 2021. And the very first outreach, which recorded overwhelming attendance in their thousands, ended on a high note, perfecting God's promises through the word and manifestation of his power, also reigniting their passion for the kingdom. And it was a life-changing experience for the people of Gambia, having Apostle Johnson Suleiman making prophetic prayers and declaration over the nation. And on the strength of taking the gospel to the ends of the earth, the dynamic mother, Dr. Lizzie Johnson Suleiman, storms a bien affair for the first rural evangelism program for the year. And we recall that she had embarked on a medical care and empowerment scheme exercise in the said area days before. And finally, she's bringing the good news to the doorsteps today, 28th January 2021. And more updates from around Africa. South Africa expects first vaccine doses next week. South Africa will on Monday receive 1 million COVID-19 vaccine doses from India, according to Health Minister Zweli Mkhize. The AstraZeneca dose will undergo technical process on arrival, including quality assurance, he said. And Zweli Mkhize added that the processes will take a minimum of 10 days and a maximum of 14 days to complete, upon which they will be ready to distribute the vaccines to all provinces. An additional 500,000 doses are expected in February, and a further 20 million doses procured for June. South Africa is the country's worst hit by coronavirus pandemic. In Africa, it is battling a highly infectious new mutation of the virus that led to a surge in the new infections. And still from around Africa, former Central African Republic rebel leader to appear before the ICC. A former Central African Republic militia commander is set to appear for the first time before the International Criminal Court on Thursday to face charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity. And Hamad Said Abdelkani was handed over to the ICC on Sunday by authorities in the Central African Republic. And the presiding judge, Rosario Salvatore Aitala, will use Thursday, that's today's session, to verify the former rebel's leader identity and the language he prefers to use in the following proceedings. He will be informed of the charges against him and his right under the ICC Rome statutes. A limited number of people will be allowed in the courtroom due to COVID-19 health measures, but the session will be broadcast live on the ICC website in French, English, and Sango. The ICC urged a warrant of arrest for Mohammed Said Abdelkani on the 7th of January 2019. He was arrested on Sunday in Brea region and surrendered to the court. He is accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity that he allegedly committed in 2013 in the capital Bangui following the overthrow of President Francois Bozize. We're going to short break right now. When we come back, we get more updates from the United Kingdom. Stay with us.
expect and be overwhelmed. A command that triggers expectation.
She was pregnant for 8 years. She ran with a word, a prophetic declaration, as Mama declared, and today the baby is here. This is one of the many things the Lord can do. Look at the baby that was held in the womb for 8 years, connecting to this grace. She's standing here with her evidence.
Bringing souls to the kingdom. Get ready for generational impact with Dr. Lizzie Johnson Suleiman.
Power of God! Power of God! Latakata rapata!
At Ibienafe Secondary School Field, South Ibie, Edo State, Nigeria. Date 28 January 2021 at 4 p.m. GMT +1. For inquiries, please call +234 806 464 6180. You are next in line.
And let someone shout hallelujah. And so I'm decreeing all those who say you will not reach your goal, you will attend their funerals.
Power everywhere! Power of God! Power everywhere! Power!
Welcome back. Now, more updates from the United Kingdom. Boris Johnson to visit Scotland despite Nicola Sturgeon warning. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is due to visit Scotland today despite the country's First Minister questioning whether the trip is necessary. Mr. Johnson is expected to emphasize the strength of the UK working together in the fight against COVID-19. He is also likely to thank staff involved in responding to the pandemic. And Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has questioned whether his trip is essential. And asked at her daily coronavirus briefing on Wednesday how she felt about the expected visit while still travel restrictions were in place, Ms. Sturgeon replied she was not ecstatic about it. She argued that leaders should abide by the same rules they imposed on the general public, adding that she had herself rejected a suggested visit to a vaccine center in Aberdeen for this reason. And Downing Street, however, insisted it was important for the Prime Minister to be visible and accessible across the whole of the UK during the pandemic. And now moving forward, Facebook to ban the recommendation of civic and political groups to users. Our political correspondent has the full details.
Facebook to ban recommendation of civic and political groups to users. The CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, on Wednesday announced that the company will no longer recommend civic and political groups to its users, and it will reduce the amount of political content our users see on newsfeed. This is as a result of a rising tension amidst the insecurity at the Capitol on January 6. Facebook, who temporarily paused those recommendations in October for U.S. users in the run-up to the 2020 elections, has faced scrutiny from liberal lawmakers for resuming the practice, according to a markup report. Meanwhile, Facebook, who was sued for selling user information in 2018 and pinned $100 million by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, agreed to pay. The Facebook chief also said that the company is considering taking new steps to limit the amount of political content users see in its news feed. Back to Belly's Quetta.
And thanks for that wonderful article from our political correspondent. And now moving forward on business news, indigenous oil operators keen on expansion amid downturn. Despite the current downturn in the global oil and gas sector, some indigenous operators in Nigeria are stepping up efforts to snap up more assets as part of their expansion plans. While they are still smarting from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic-induced collapse in oil prices and demand, indigenous firms in the country are poised to increase their participation in the nation's oil and gas industry. The Nigerian oil and gas industry has, in the past 2 decades, seen a surge in the number of indigenous players, buoyed by the federal government's initiatives and divestments of assets by international oil companies operating in the country. A number of indigenous operators have emerged as key players in the industry with more access to oil and gas assets on the back of the government's marginal field program and recent divestments by the IOCs. And in a bid to boost the local participation, the federal government encouraged the IOCs to surrender their marginal fields for assignments to indigenous concession holders. And he said that his company took an asset that was abandoned for over 20 years with reserves of about 17 million barrels and went ahead to do some explanatory work to ramp up overall reserves to about 24 million barrels. And the Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC said recently that it had recovered over 19 million barrels and over 90 billion standard cubic feet of gas since the first production from its Ogbele marginal field in 2005. An energy expert and a former board member of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Alhaji Abdullahi Bukar, said that the local operator could increase their contribution to total oil and gas production in their country if given access to more reserves. And still from the world of business, Vitaform proposes 70 cobalt dividend holds AGM. And the Vitaform PLC has announced plans to hold virtual annual general meeting. The virtual meeting, and 59th in the series, is scheduled for March 4th. And the board has also proposed a dividend of 70 kobo per share as against 42 kobo paid in the preceding year. And this translates to a dividend yield of 8% at the company's current share price of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, according to a statement issued by the company on Wednesday. And a notice of the meeting signed by the company secretary and the legal advisor, Mr. Olalekan Sani, said the company's first virtual general meeting would focus on the report of the directors and audited financial statement for the year ended September 30th, 2020, alongside with the report of the auditors and the audit committee. And the company had earlier announced a good performance in the review period despite the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the corporate earnings. Its turnover rose by 5.2% from 22.28 billion naira to 23.44 billion naira. Cost of sale dropped by 8.1% from 13.52 billion naira to 12.43 billion naira. And gross profit thus rose by 25.7% from 8.76 billion naira to 11.01 billion naira. And non-core business income rose by 52% from 491 million naira to 745 million naira. And interest expense reduced by 11.4% from 1.05 billion naira to 930 million naira. And the profit before tax rose by 61.5% from 3.5 billion naira to 5.6 billion naira. And the group managing director, Mr. Taiwo Adeniyi, attributed the performance of the company to innovation and expansion drive. He added that the company had the capacity to sustain the trajectory and would continue to reward its stakeholders. I will go on another short break. After that, we'll come for news from the world of sports.
There is a wave of preservation coming to Taraba.
Life, power, in the mighty name of the Lord Jesus. Drop him, leave him, walk, go, let him go, go. Glory!
Generational Impact Taraba 2021 with Apostle Johnson Suleiman.
Be my guest as I come to Wukari, Taraba State on the 15th and 16th of the month of February.
Pastor College, clean that man's eye. Just clean his eyes. Clean it, clean it. Your right hand. Let him follow you to me. This way. Oh! Glory!
God is going to be reaching out to us mightily, and there's going to be a great move of the Spirit of God.
Number 17. Is that your house? Yes, sir. 26 plus 26. How old are you?
15th and 16th February 2021, 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. GMT+1. Happening at GSS Wukari along Ibi Road, Wukari, Taraba State, Nigeria. Also, there will be the state church dedication by Apostle Johnson Suleiman. For inquiries, please call 0706 854 6314 or 0703 289 5750.
I'll see you in Taraba.
O land, be positioned to hear the word of the Lord.
Welcome back. Now news updates from the world of sports. EPL Everton denied as Pickford Howler rescues Leicester. Jordan Pickford was punished for the latest in a long list of embarrassing errors as the blundering Everton goalkeeper allowed Yuri Telsman to rescue a 1-0 draw for Leicester on Wednesday. And Pickford has been under scrutiny for the last year after some increasingly erratic displays. And Everton manager Carlo Ancelotti has largely kept faith with Pickford's but that patience will be sorely tested by yet another mistake. And clinging to the first half lead given to them by James Rodriguez, Everton were denied 3 points when Pickford led Tielemans' shot screaming to the net after the break at Goodison Park. It was no more than Leicester deserved for an enterprising display that merited all 3 points. Leicester are now unbeaten in 9 matches in all competitions since losing at home to Everton in December. And they sit third in the Premier League, 2 points behind leaders Manchester City, and look capable of pushing for a top 4 finish, even with the leading scorer Jamie Vardy currently sidelined through injury. And Leicester's pressure was finally rewarded as Pickford gifted them the 67th minute leveller. And Pickford was guilty of flapping at Barnes' cross, and when the ball was recycled to Tielemans on the edge of the area, the Belgian shot through a crowd of players should have been held by the England keeper. And although he got both hands behind the ball, it screamed through his grasp and into the net. What a sad situation there for that keeper. In another sports news, athletes fear another festival postponement after Obaseki commenced. Athletes have expressed fear the National Sports Festival may be postponed again after Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki said the state lacked funds to host the games. And the sports festival was first scheduled for March 22nd to April 2nd, 2020 in Benin City, but was cancelled following the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic in the country. It had been rescheduled to hold from February 14 to 21st before Obaseki stated that the state lacked the funds to host the national sports event. While receiving members of the main organizing committee from the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development and the local organizing committee, who paid him a courtesy visit in Benin City on Tuesday, Obaseki said COVID-19 had taken its toll on the finances of the state. And some athletes who spoke mentioned this and said that shifting the festival again will leave them disappointed. And however, Ondo State's badminton player Alex Fapunda says that many postponements the festival has suffered has not affected his preparation for the event. And that's the size of the news for us on Celebration Television News Desk today. If you're just joining us, here is a recap of the news making the headlines. Generational Impact 2021 with Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman. South Africa expects first vaccine doses next week. Facebook to ban recommendation of civic and political groups to users. Indigenous oil operators keen on expansion amid downturn. An English Premier League, Everton denied as Pickford Howler rescues Leicester. And today on our photo of the day, just like you can see these different vessels with different amounts of money, and we say that if you desire to be successful in life, never depend on a single income. Make an investment to create a second source. It's very important to always have multiple sources of income, as life cannot just permit you to feed on your salary or any earning that you have. So it's very important to have many streams of income to be able to live a better life and achieve everything that you want. And you can comment also on the photo of the day on our different social media platforms. On Facebook, we are Celebration TV. On Instagram, we are My Celebration TV. On Twitter, it's at My Celebration TV. And on YouTube, it is Celebration TV. Now, your positive contribution to the wellness of the society you find yourself in or the organization you work for is defined your leadership might. As an individual who knows what to do and do without expecting to be pushed, has backed his ways to success. Be it known today that everything we do, think, feel, and believe either have a positive or negative effect on humanity and our national well-being. So be a part of nation building today. Thanks for watching the news on Celebration Television News Desk, and I remain Belly Squatter. Have a nice day.
To 15.7 trillion naira by the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikule Amosu.